Hey everybody, it's Liz from Northern Bell Farms. We are in zone 8B, almost 9 basically, in southern coastal Georgia. So it's often hot and humid, but definitely not today. It is freezing cold. It is the middle of January, and this is usually our coldest month. It is end of January, beginning of February. These are our two cold months. December is when it first starts to get cold, and then March it starts to warm back up. We don't really have much of a cold, but it did frost last night, but everything seems to be okay. There was frost covering lots of things. Usually I cover it, but yesterday was really windy and all the frost covers just kept blowing off of everything. So I was like, whatever, most things that are planted out here already are frost hardy, so hopefully they'll last. But everything looks to be okay, even the nasturtiums down here. Don't seem to be too damaged yet over here. And then the rest of the stuff is cold hardy. Salvia and pincushion flowers, some herbs, some mums, agapanthus, daylily is over there. And then we have, see, all of our kale and lettuce that I planted. Got ripped out from under the bricks that were holding it down, so now I can't pick up all the lettuce and put the thing back down, or put the thing back down and pull all the lettuce back through all the holes. So I think I'm just gonna pull it all up and be like, whatever, hopefully I don't have to weed it too much. It probably won't be around for too long anyways, because lettuce doesn't really last. It gets hot too fast, so we'll get a little bit off of it though. Hopefully they'll turn into heads and it won't warm up too fast this year. But we have our kalettes and broccoli and cauliflower and all that, so all that's doing great. Then we have some things sprouting over here I broadcasted, and they're actually sprouting really good. I don't know, little sprouts. I did kale and bok choy, nothing sprouting here yet. Broccoli rabe and something else, but 2 rows are sprouting and 2 rows haven't. Oh, and tatsel. Tatsel's our favorite, and we will definitely plant as much of that as we can. So I had big bags of seeds, so I broadcasted them here where I'm planning on putting my potato mounds in a few months. So that, the carrots are of course okay. Everything's pretty good. I'm pretty happy, besides the fact that it was so windy that all of our landscape fabric got ripped out of where it was supposed to be. But I'll just end up pulling it up, I guess. These are beets. So I guess maybe I'll just plant some beets in this corner and rip it all up, fold it up, put it away till our next. I'll try and use it again, and then it'll end up all over the yard again. But everything in here is good. I'm starting this video to do mushroom substrate. A couple weeks back we did a inoculation video on how to green grain spawn and inoculate it. We did a king trumpet, a pioppino, a white oyster, which is called elm, and a pink oyster, which I'm most excited about. Oh, and a shiitake. So mushroom substrate is the media in which that's south that they're going. The media substrate is the media in which mushrooms grow on, and there can be tons of different things to grow on. You can grow on sawdust, wood chips, straw, hay, coffee grounds. People add in gypsum, soybean hulls, really any kind of agricultural waste. That coconut coir or whatever. So we've done a bunch of research into what we think we're gonna use, what works best. First we're gonna go with what the mushrooms like. So like shiitake grow on wood, so we're gonna use wood pellets for those. Because the wood pellets don't really need to be sterilized. They don't need to be sterilized because they've already been pressure treated to be like under high heat and compaction to put them in to make a pellet. So all we really have to do is soak that. I have some fast fruiting stuff that I bought off of Amazon. And so we're going to try that out, but that, I was told that does have to be sterilized. You can sterilize or pasteurize things in 2 different ways. You can do it with high heat, or we're going to do something called a cold water pasteurization. So we'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to grow, our substrate's going to be on what the mushroom's like. So shiitake likes wood. We have the wood pellets. We're mostly going to mix the fast fruiting mix, a few wood pellets, and some straw for the rest of the mushrooms, like the oyster mushrooms, because they're not really picky. They grow really well. And the Pia Pino ones, more so are picky about the temperature. They like it cooler, so I think what I'm going to do is they'll stay in the grow room for a little bit maybe, and also as well as the shiitake, they like a cold snap before they fruit. So both those I might put a couple buckets in the greenhouse so that they'll stay warmer than outside, but stay cool for fruiting. But definitely those 3, the straw, the wood pellets, and the fast fruiting mix is all going to need to be soaked. So the wood pellets we're going to empty out into a container and soak them for at least 12 hours. And then the straw and the fast fruiting needs to be done with the pasteurization. So cold water pasteurization is actually done with something called hydrated lime, which actually isn't lime at all, it's calcium. It took us a while to figure that one out in looking for it. But so we have this rain barrel that was given to me by someone. And we're filled it up with cold water. I'll probably pick these leaves out. And we are going to cut the straw up. It's supposed to be smaller, so it's supposed to be about 2 or 3 inches pieces of straw. It has to be soaked in here, and I'm going to get the hydrated lime. I was told per 50 to 55 gallon bucket you need 300 milligrams of calcium. But I'm not really going to measure because the guy had just like an empty soup can and he just filled it up. So I'm just going to get, I think, a coffee cup and just scoop some and dump it in. Hey, probably should have put the stuff in there first, huh?
Yeah.
This is the calcium hydroxide. Says that we're not supposed to touch it, inhale it, or do anything like that. And you have to love mason jars because there's measurements on here. So I just got to fill it up to this line. So I will be measuring it. Looks like beer. Maybe I just want a beer.
What beer you're drinking?
It's a 16 buff in the dark of
Here's the wood pellets. We decided to go with these wood pellets because they were, I think, $7 or $8 a bag. As I said before, they're already basically sterilized because they're pressure treated and dried out. So we are going to put them in a big bucket to soak them. They should probably soak for, I'd say at least 6 hours. This is the mushroom substrate bucket. You need a 1/4 inch drill, and you just drill holes every couple inches or so. This is for air, and eventually the mushrooms will fruit out of these holes. They may look little, but mushrooms just need a little pinhole to come out, some air to breathe, and then they'll be growing up the side of this bucket. Obviously not every hole will have a mushroom coming out of it, but it'll help with the ventilation, so that they can grow out of a few of them.
Great, Mama.
Now, I gotta do this 9 more times. Please stop.
I have to see you now. Yeah. Hey, go back. Go. Go, go, go. Come on. Don't pay that. I'm trying to pay that chair. Fred, sweep that chair. No, sweep that chair. What are you doing? We want to watch we want to watch yourself in some videos. I want you in that video. Hey everyone from Nowhere About Forms. This is Freya for now.
That's a good job.
Thank you. Now you do it. No, I'm going to be scared. Okay, let me.
Something Chris built for me. It's a plant saver from the chickens. Just because our chickens don't like to stay in their fences, but that's okay. Fences are more to keep animals out than to keep them in. But that also makes it so that my plant starts, a lot of them will get eaten sitting out waiting to go for sale. So this is a plant cover where I can put a bunch of plants in the middle and the chickens can't get to it, because it was easier to cover the plants than try to cover the chickens. So but I'm gonna use this as a drainer. I'm gonna go get a shade cloth and lay it over top, so that in a couple hours I can take this and somehow dump or scoop it onto there and let it drain off a little bit. So then I can inoculate the buckets that I just made. Just like that. And now the pellets can't go through the holes in the chicken wire. And it's more like a mesh, because you can like pretty much see through it. See? So when we scoop it out, it can drain on that for an hour. So all of the barrel of grain and the barrel of hay with the fruiting stuff in it has all soaked overnight, and it's now in the morning, and I dumped the wood substrate mixed with the fast fruiting mix on to dry out, and then still when I pick it up I squeeze it like this to get all the rest of the water out, and so it's not soaking wet. And then we put the grain spawn in, and you layer it like a lasagna. So, and we're always gonna finish with the wood pellets or wood chips or straw or whatever your substrate is on top. And you start with it on the bottom too. So, I will show you how I do the next bucket. But these shiitake buckets are going to be done with this 75% hardwood soaked pellets, and then the 25% or maybe a little bit more of fast fruiting mix from the company that I showed you. But we had it soaking in a 50-gallon drum overnight, and then this morning I put the shade cloth over here. I put it all on there. There we go. I brought out all the jars except for the pink oyster, because the pink oyster is a heat-loving mushroom. It actually likes it hot and humid, or warm and humid. So I left those right inside the door. But these are the ones we got to do today. This is the shiitake that I'm working on. I've already done, now we know I had 5 jars of most. 6 jars of a couple, but depending on the size. So what I did was I took 4 jars that I'm going to use to inoculate the buckets. And then I'm going to take one of the grain spawns that I have left over and re-grain spawn. I'm going to soak the grain and do all that again and make another 6 jars or so. Same way I did this way, and I'm going to take that last one and I'm going to break it up and I'm going to put it in all those jars. So kind of like friendship bread or like a sourdough. You have that starter that you can keep using to make more and more and more. Now, some of them did look a little contaminated, but I did watch a video on, somebody had said that that's how, there's a bee, that's how fungus is in the wild. There's usually dueling fungi on the same plants and trees and things like that. But a few of them, like this one, there's some little black dots. I don't know if you can see on the top of this grain spawn. So I'm unsure if it's contaminated or it looks good right there, like that's good growth. But then in there on the very top there's some little black dots. So, but we're still gonna try and put it like those in the bucket. These ones are really good. These white oysters are starting to turn yellow. I'm assuming that's fine. It just looks like the mycelium is getting really good and ready to start making mushrooms soon. But they're like full white jars. You can barely see the grain anymore. And then where it's really covered, it starts to turn yellow. So that's those white oyster. These are the king trumpets. Now see, these ones have a little bit of contamination right there. We'll come back over here in the light. Where it's that dark color. I'm unsure if that's the way this mushroom is, because maybe it has some black or some brown on it. But again, it's growing awesome and great, so we're going to try and do it anyways. This King Trumpet jar doesn't have any of that. It actually is kind of pink right there, which is weird because that's only supposed to be on pink oyster, but that looks kind of pink to me. But we do have another jar with the black moldness on it. So I'm going to have to research that. But like I said, what I had watched, the guy had said that dueling fungus is what happens in the wild. So I made perfect conditions to grow fungus so that if there was air contamination, which I don't have a laminar flow hood, so could very well be. And these pepino mushrooms, these ones like it chili to fruit. The same with the shiitake, they like it chillier. But the pepino, we're gonna do with regular straw fruiting mix and the wood pelleted soaked stuff. So I have the last shiitake bucket, right? And then I have 4 oysters, well, 4 of the white oysters, 3 of the King Trumpets. See this? This looks like it's turning yellow and blue, and I'm pretty sure that this one is called trichodermic mold, which I'm unsure. I think it might have to be more green, but it's yellow and blue and all different colors. So, but this is the pepino. So we're gonna have probably 2 buckets for this one. 2 or 3 buckets for this. Definitely 3 or 4 buckets for that. It looks strong. It looks like I could do each one of these in its own bucket because the white oyster is so strong looking. So this is going to either be 2 or 3 buckets. And then the shiitake, I have 3 buckets. And the shiitake is the only one, again, that I did just the plain wood and the fruiting mix soak in it. So here's how I did it. I'm going to squeeze this substrate and get any of the extra liquid out. And then I'm going to put it in the bottom. Then we're going to sprinkle some green spawn. So then I put a little bit of the straw and fruiting body stuff on top. Make sure it's flat. The buckets are going to colonize, meaning that mycelium is now expected to grow through this rotten wood and straw, and the fruiting mix has got the organic matter along with the straw's organic matter to kind of feed the mushrooms as the mycelium colonizes. So we want a good amount of wood. And then our green spawn. See, this is the one with the black spots on top, see? So I think what I might do is try and I'm gonna take this and just huck it over there under the tree. Because I don't think that's supposed to be on there. I don't think those black spots are supposed to be there. So then we'll put the rest in here. This smells kind of like a drink, like a sweet rye whiskey kind of. It's kind of got that fermenting smell, but it's sweet. because the grain, I like it. At first, when I first opened it up, I thought one of them smelled a little bit like nail polish remover, and then after the initial, like, got over that, it smelled much better. Okay. A little bit of straw for some aeration. More wood. They will drip dry out here on the table for a couple hours, probably 3 or 4 hours, to make sure that all the water's dripped out, as it's doing right now. But I gotta go inside and get some paper or something to tape to that for labels. And then I gotta do all the rest of the kinds of mushrooms. Okay, so we're all done now. We have all these buckets that I'm going to bring back into the grow room. We have 3 shiitakes, 4 white elm or white oyster mushrooms, 2 in the king trumpet, 1 bucket of pioppino, and 1 bag, and then 3 bags of the pink oyster. I just had to use bags because I ran out of buckets. And it'll be fun to watch the mycelium grow inside of the bag too. So we'll see how that goes. Once it starts growing inside the bag, these are special bags for mushroom growth. There's a vent on the top. But once the mushrooms start growing on the inside, I'm going to put slits in the bag on where the mushroom's growing. And then that should be that. I'm going to go stack this all in the grow room, especially since these are supposed to be kept warm. And hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks, I will show you all mushrooms coming out of all these buckets and bags. Don't conform, people, be transformed. I gotta go work on a seed video because I had spent 2 or 3 days making a what can you plant now seed video, and then when I went to upload it, it got to 95% and stopped. So I think part of it was corrupt because I tried to delete the edited part and then re-edit it and upload it again, and it wouldn't work. So I think one of the videos somehow got a corrupt file or something. So I just deleted all of it, and I'll have to make it again. So hopefully I'll have that video in a few days. Don't conform, guys. Be transformed. See ya.